Today I'm going to give you a practice tool that will really help you play passages faster, more relaxed, more securely, and most importantly, never forget them again. Stay tuned. Yeah, I'm sure you've experienced this before. You're playing a passage. It just doesn't work. You want to play fast, you want to improve your dexterity on your saxophone, and it just doesn't work right. You're frustrated and you keep playing the same passage up and down over and over, and you just don't know what to do. And then you practice based on wishful thinking, hoping it'll work out eventually, but it just doesn't, right? From my own experience, I can tell you, I practiced like that for a long time, played a lot that way, always hoping it would eventually work out, repeating things over and over. It's also a matter of stamina. At some point, you just don't have any strength or energy left. You're wiped out and you don't feel like it anymore. Yeah, and you get frustrated when it still doesn't work out. Don't get me wrong, I don't want to demonize it. Fighting and sticking with it is important too, and for me, that was also an important experience. Even in those moments when things weren't moving forward, just sticking with it and keeping at it. But today I want to share a method with you that lets you practice smarter instead of harder. So pay close attention. Alright, now I want you to pause this video and grab your instrument and your sheet music, a piece you're currently working on. It doesn't matter at all whether it's hard, easy, or even just a scale if you're a beginner. It really doesn't matter. Get your instrument, pause this video, and only continue once you've got your instrument. Hit pause now. So, now hopefully you're all set with your instrument and have your sheet music with you. And now, pay attention. I'm going to explain a technique to you that you can use to practice any piece, at any level of difficulty, whenever you need to get a passage into your fingers motorically. I want you to keep 5 things in mind. Break your passage down into 5 notes, just 5 notes. Da, 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 da. If you're playing a scale, okay. If you're playing any other piece, even with tricky rhythms, it doesn't matter. Ignore the rhythm, just play 5 notes. Second, play the whole thing quietly so you can listen to yourself better. Third, play it slowly. Play it in slow motion. As slow as possible so that you can control it. Fourth, play it in a loop, back and forth, so that you keep playing it in a circle. And fifth, set a specific number of times you want to repeat it. For example, 5 times at the beginning. If that works, then you expand on it. So, for example, play a different rhythm, long, short, long, short, long, or long, long, short, long, long, short, long, long, or short, long, short, long, short, long, and you still stay in this loop, back and forth. Okay. Then, you slowly increase the tempo. It's best to practice this with a metronome anyway, you know, and always make it 2 or 3 beats faster. Slowly increase the tempo, okay? And then, you set a number again, like, how many repetitions you want to do. If that works too, then try to steadily increase the tempo. Keep playing different rhythms. That way, you're constantly giving your brain new impulses. Our brain actually needs these impulses so it doesn't switch off, you know. Of course, it's an organ that works very efficiently and effectively, and if you just keep doodling the same thing, at some point it switches off and realizes, oh, I can do this without really paying attention. So always give new impulses, for example by using different rhythms. Always focus your attention on one thing at a time. Remember my video about rotating attention, right? We can only ever focus on one thing at a time, you know. We can learn to make that switch faster, but for example, try focusing only on the sound during one run-through, and on the next run-through, focus only on your fingers, making sure they're nice and relaxed. On the next run-through, focus on your posture. Now comes the all-important point. Drum roll. You just move on to the next note. You've got your 5 notes. Da, 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 da. And you move 1 note further, start on the 2nd, and then basically add the 6th note. Then you have 5 notes again, like that. And now I said, smart instead of hard. Yeah, that's right, right? You're practicing very smartly. The hard part about it is that, of course, it's very tedious and very slow. Because if you have a piece or a passage with, I don't know, 50 or 100 notes, or however many, maybe even fewer. It's still very laborious to practice like this and always just move forward by one note at a time. You're practicing at a high level, effectively and efficiently, because you're only focusing on a few notes and repeating them over and over, and repeating them with quality, right? Practice is repetition, but repetition alone isn't practice. Only quality repetition, that's real practice, right? Because what we basically do all the time, that becomes permanent. And if you keep playing the wrong thing all the time or practice a mistake, then that mistake becomes permanent and you ingrain it. So really try to practice just a few notes effectively using this method. I call it the 5-note method, by the way. It's just like in sports. The slower you perform an exercise, whether you're training your abs or whatever, the slower you do it, the more effective it is. It's the same when you're practicing, right? Because you're basically burning it into your brain as well. There's a great YouTube video about this by a Shaolin monk. I don't remember his name exactly. I'll look it up and link it for you below in the description, where he talks about the topic of energy. Just very roughly. So, he's in a very, very uncomfortable pose, sitting or standing in front of the audience, and he says, energy happens when things get really, really uncomfortable. And then he makes the pose he's standing in even a bit more uncomfortable, and you can see his whole body shaking and trembling. And yet he still keeps standing like that. And that's the moment when things move forward, yeah. And if you transfer this analogy to practicing, that's the moment when you're standing there thinking, man, this is exhausting. I don't feel like doing this anymore. I want to stop now. It's so nerve-wracking. That's the moment when things get better, right? You have to get through that, and then you've reached another level. I applied this principle myself many times during my studies with a lot of pieces, and very, very demanding pieces. For example, the Sonata by Denisov. If you know it, I'll link it below as well. It's a very challenging piece. That's the piece I've chosen here, for the examples. I practiced at using this principle, and I'm sure I still don't have everything down, because I haven't played the piece in a long time, but I've still retained so much of it, so many runs. Even if I just pick it up again, a lot of things still work pretty well. There's a little catch to the whole thing. Of course, it doesn't work if you practice like this just once a month and then expect it to have an incredible impact. No, that's not how it works. You have to do it consistently, yeah. Constant dripping wears away the stone, so try to integrate this into your practice routine. Here's what I recommend. Every time you practice, try to spend 2 to 3 minutes practicing like this, yeah. At first, if you don't know it or haven't done it before, it's very, very exhausting. You really have to focus so that you can keep it up and concentrate only on that. Try to integrate it, and maybe, step by step, make it last a bit longer each time you practice. What's important is that you continuously include it in your practice from now on, now that you've learned it today. So what's stopping you from starting to implement it right away and integrating it into your practice? It's important that when you notice you've improved, you celebrate that. Be proud of yourself, yeah. Way too often, we practice and practice, accomplish something, and then think, well, it actually wasn't that hard. But no, it was hard, because you practiced a lot for it. So why not celebrate yourself for that too? It's really important to tell yourself, okay, I did it, I accomplished something, yeah. Then comes the next thing, and not just check it off and move on to the next thing right away, yeah. Music is, you know, often a very lonely thing, because we spend a lot of time alone with ourselves at an instrument, yeah. It's also really important to, just hold yourself accountable, to keep yourself motivated and say, cool, I did it, I can do this. I've linked a worksheet for you in the description about this so-called 5-step method, where I've explained everything step by step again. I'm giving it to you for free. You can download it below. It's linked in the description. Yeah, my name is David. I'm a saxophonist, and every week I give you tips and tricks about playing the saxophone here with a YouTube video. If you enjoyed this video, I'd appreciate a like, or if you subscribe to my channel. You can also check out my content on social media platforms like TikTok, Instagram, or YouTube Shorts. I regularly post little tips and tricks about practicing, practice mindset, and saxophone there. Just take a look over there. And yeah, leave me a comment about how this works for you. I'm really interested in that. I'm super curious about it. Does it work for you? Or is it something that just doesn't work for you at all? What are your experiences with this practice method? Or maybe you have strategies you can recommend to others, ones you like, that work for you. Then feel free to post them in the comments as well. That's all from me today. See you next time. Bye.